On September 10th, Russian drones violated Polish airspace. They did not come bringing bombs on NATO soil, but they definitely brought fear and disinformation. Good evening, my name is Maia Mazurkiewicz, and welcome to the Anatomy of Disinformation. Incidents like that are part of a hybrid war that has been happening for years. Russian narratives were immediately present in the majority of social media posts around the incursion. And that's not an isolated incident. Let's find out how disinformation is affecting our citizens and how we can build resilience. Influence operations have always been a part of war. Now, however, the tools used in these efforts are on another level. Are we aware of how these methods have escalated? And how can we counter them and build greater social resilience? We'll talk about that and more with our guest.
Mirko Kampociari, CEO, Parabellum, military historian and analyst specializing in contemporary conflicts with expertise on the war in Ukraine. Founder and CEO of Parabellum and Partners, creator of the YouTube channel Parabellum, member of the Italian Society of Military Historians and contributor to Limes and Domino. His interests include military strategy, geopolitical analysis, and the history of the Second World War.
Mirko, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, we're talking today about the drones that entered the Polish airspace, but that's not the only incident that has happened recently. However, Poland has requested the UN Council to meet, and how significant it is?
I mean, the Article 4 is a consultative tool, and it happened to be used only 4 times in the last 2 years, and 2 times in the last week. So it helps, but it's not that big of a deal, to be honest, considering it's a soft answer. It's just to talk with the other partners and decide maybe a cohesive answer to what happened. So it's not like some people are saying, especially, for example, in my country, that we are very near to World War III. We are many steps behind in it. That is pretty standard. The concerning factor is the fact that the Article 4 is being used more and more often in this period, like 1,000% more than what happened in the 2 years before. So that is something that we need to take into account when we are talking about this gradually escalate situation.
So it's like public diplomacy tool, and we've been seeing quite a lot of them recently, also talking about the peace talks that we've seen.
Yes, we need to think about the Article 4 also as something that who made the attack is watching it, in the sense that based on the political answer that the collective West is going to provide, from the other side they're going to calculate what will be the political ability and willpower and willingness to do something about an incident like this, and based on that they will decide their next course of action. So it's pretty important, not in the sense of the talk itself, but what will come out of this and what the other side will analyze from our answer.
From your perspective, those incidents that have happened, especially 2 that you mentioned that the UN Security Council has met, were there acts of aggressions or testing?
I think we are around a strategy that people in my business talk about liminal warfare, in the sense that there's a sort of action, ambiguous action, that they are under the attribution threshold or sometimes under the detection threshold. And usually these kind of operations are hard either to spot and detect and to find who is the sponsor, but anyway they stay under the conflict area, so they never trigger a kinetic answer. And that's exactly what happened with the drones in Poland, which were premeditated because we have drones that ended in Latvia and other countries with Polish SIM 3-4 months ago. That means that they were already testing your cell phone network. They had a double tank, and they also flied from very near to Belarusia, a new base that the Russians made at Shatalovo, and it was the first time that they traveled that far. Usually the Gerbera 2, in this case, they used a decoy or dummy drones modified. Usually they don't go more than 350 kilometers, but this time they made 600 kilometers, and that's why they have a double tank. So it was pretty obvious that it was intended to test not the ability of Poland or NATO to answer, because they know our ability, they know where we have all the assets. Kaliningrad is pretty much a big radar array, and they don't have any problems with their spy network to find these capabilities. So it was more about testing the political resolution, because this also can bring them to analyze what will be the answer and what will happen if they decide to escalate in Ukraine, if the Western country not make a big deal about what happened in Estonia, in Poland, or recently, for example, in Copenhagen or Oslo.
And what happened in Copenhagen? I think it's the least known incident.
It seems that a drone operator of unknown origin launched 2 drones from a small boat, and it was a pretty skilled operator, since it was also able to mask his own signal, and this caused a lot of problems on the airports, so much that the airspace was closed, and the boat and the man was not identified. And this is exactly enters in the liminal warfare of a covert operation which is detected, but the sponsor is unknown.
And was that visible in the information space? Were citizens informed?
The citizen, I think, realized this through the media, usually from the social media, in the sense that in internet everything moves way faster than on the traditional medias. So the people realized the cancellation of the flights faster on X than on their national television.
Well, that's why it's important to hold the narrative. And at this moment, I would like to show you what Minister Sikorski, Foreign Affairs Minister of Poland, has recently said at the UN Council.
I have only one request to the Russian government. If another missile or aircraft enters our space without permission, deliberately or by mistake, and gets shot down and the wreckage falls on NATO territory, please don't come here to whine about it. You have been warned. Thank you.
Is it a good takeover of the narrative?
I think it's a really good answer. I think if we analyze the long history of Russian politics, they only respect strength. But also these kind of attacks are made for testing, in the sense that not every NATO country take this attack in the same way. So it brings a sort of a division inside the alliance, because of course everybody look at these incidents with a different degree of concern. And of course, the concern of the Polish or the Nordic or the Baltic is very different from the concern of Portugal or Spain. And this is a playground where Russia like to play, because it promotes division and it promotes a different agenda inside an alliance.
So how about Italy? How this incident or incidents were shown in your country?
That's a big part of disinformation. Part of the media even accused the Ukraine to grab some of the drones that ended up in their country and pretty much assemble them back again and send them towards Poland, because could be an interest for Ukraine to bring Poland more near to Ukraine and to support even more. But the most important fact is they used a lot of logical fallacy. In what sense? We say in Latin, falso in uno, falsus in omnibus, which means false in one thing, false in everything. In the sense that our media concentrated a lot on the rumors about the Poland missile that tried to intercept one of the drones and ended up on the house to say if this was false and not was a drone, everything else is false. How they did that? Simply by not talking about the other 19 drones or the details about the SIMs or the details about the Shatalovo base or about the double tanks that these drones had. So they focus pretty much their own readers on one thing, and they let them assuming that if this case was false, everything else is false. And this is a very known technique for these guys in some informations and let the people extrapolate their own idea about what happened.
And have there been any strategic communication around that, trying to change this narrative or get to the citizens, or it was just left?
They left it there, and then they went pretty silent about what happened with the MiG-31K incident on recent period, and also what happened today. So they left it there and then moved it to other topics, because of course the more you bring other incidents, the less possible is the fact that it was a case of false flag.
Mirko, thank you so much for giving this broad picture of what really happened, and I think it's crucial to actually look at this and seeing what future will bring as well on the topic. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks to you.
Following the incursion of Russian drones into Polish airspace on September 10th, Poland's information sphere saw an all-out disinformation onslaught. Here's how Russia attempted to sow chaos in Polish hearts and minds.
Polish airspace was breached by Russian drones at least 19 times between the night of September 9th and 10th, during one of Moscow's largest aerial assaults on Ukraine. A large-scale online disinformation campaign unfolded in its wake in two waves. The first wave, lasting from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. Central European Time, disseminated catastrophic messages of the Polish army being thrown into disarray by the attack, the air defense performing with 0% efficiency, or painting Belarus as a benevolent informer for Poland. The second wave, beginning after 7 a.m. Central European Time, aimed at shifting the blame for the incursion on other actors, including Ukraine, the US, and Jews.
This is what Russia plays on. Russia plays on this gray zone, this hybrid warfare.
A limited number of Polish political parties and figures picked up those narratives.
In Poland, the masks have dropped. Now we are precisely identifying those who, whether for political reasons or out of stupidity or because they are traitors, are serving Russian propaganda and disinformation.
We've observed only one political party spreading disinformation, and it was Konfederacja Korony Polskiej, Polish Crown Confederation, led by Grzegorz Braun. They were significantly moving into this disinformation waves, especially in terms of blaming other countries for this attack.
Russian disinformation was promulgated as far and high as the United Nations and by no other than Vasily Nebenzia, Russia's ambassador and the Kremlin's mouthpiece.
The maximum range of the drones used in this strike did not exceed 700 kilometers, which makes it physically impossible for them to reach Polish territory.
This is false. TVP World carried out measurements proving that Gerbera drones are actually capable of not only reaching Poland, but also parts of the Czech Republic and Germany, when launched from Russia-controlled or Russia-friendly territory.
Russian viewers will only see and hear the Russian ambassador talking points. They will not be able to see fact-checking by Polish ministers.
With production costs around $10,000, the Gerbera drone is a much cheaper alternative to Shahed drones. Used by Russia for the first time in July 2024 in Ukraine, the drone has usually performed the role of a decoy, although it can be armed for direct combat.
In the wake of the incident, Poland requested a UN Security Council meeting for the first time in the organization's history. What does this indicate about Poland's evolving role in regional and global security dynamics, and how are geopolitics changing? Is public diplomacy a good response to disinformation? Let's talk about that with our guest.
Magdalena M. Baran, Managing Editor, Liberté. Assistant Professor at the Institute of Sociology of the National Education Commission in Kraków. Senior Fellow in European Liberal Forum in Brussels and member of Social Contract Incubator Association. She deals with ethics of war, international law on war and peace, reconstruction of post-conflict societies, political philosophy, government ethics.
Magdalena, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, it's good to be here.
On the 10th of September, we had an incident, drones entering the Polish airspace. Well, are we living in the different times right now after the incident, or is it still the same?
Yeah, I wanted to say what a coincidence that it wasn't 11:09, really. No, it's not a different word. It's absolutely the very, very same word. When we are exposed to every kind of a Russian hybrid war, but also elements of the conventional war that comes very close to our borders and right now crosses our borders, but also borders of NATO.
And already, very much at the same time where the drones were entering the airspace, there were disinformation and influence operations entering the Polish information space.
Well, yes, but we can consider it looking from a different point of views. Of course, from one side, we have everything that we heard in Polish media, and we had very different narrations. In some, you can hear facts and nothing more but facts. In the other, you could hear maybe not disinformation as such, but something that I used to call the trash information, or something that, you know, you go to the people that found remains of an object, because right now we know it wasn't a drone, but those days we thought so. And we heard a lot of questions. Oh, did you see something? Oh, what was it? Oh, are you really present? Oh, you wasn't present? How come? And so on, and so on, and so on. I call it the trash information because it gives us nothing, and it doesn't build a sense of security. It just shown something, I don't know, for some people it might be maybe not funny, but a kind of entertainment. For some, it's scary, in fact.
Well, but for the others, it's actually a proper Russian disinformation. There are reports saying that 60% of the information around the issue were including the Russian disinformation.
But the thing is that we heard those informations in high-quality media even. When we look at the history of disinformation and history of Russian impact, sometimes it's Russian-inspired media just follow the graphics or the fonts or the whole design of high-quality media, like it was during, I don't know, even election in Romania or in Georgia or right now in Moldova. But here it was high quality media and the local media that in fact we as citizens should expect something more from. So from my point of view, it's something that appeared very quickly at the website of our defense ministry. So first check, then do not follow things that might be absurdity, or might be just
unchecked information.
Unchecked information, and don't put emotions. If you see emotions, it's for you, it's of course obvious, and probably for our viewers also, how you recognize this information. But still, for many people in Poland, including my students, it's really hard to get to know what is real information, where we have facts, and where we have just a propaganda or a part of the hybrid war.
So how should democratic governments ethically respond to disinformation? You know, about campaigns that target civilian populations, so panic, and we are in the times when there's going to be more and more of them for sure.
But I'm still wondering if we really have panic. When I talk to people, to my students, but also when I make my interviews, so on, people are maybe panic could be even in some cases better, because look at the alarms that we had just a few days after those drones appear in the Polish space, and people did not react to the alarms. They were still working. They stay. There was some sport games. I'm not sure which one, but they did not react. There was nothing, and the alarm. And what came later, and it was ethical reaction of Polish media and social media connected to the stations and to the press. We could observe informations about what alarms really mean, how to behave when you hear the alarm, where to go, how to behave, and in fact, what does it mean? When you get the information, okay, stay at home, it means stay at home. We need something that one of my colleagues called a national education program against disinformation, because if my students are not able to recognize this information, and look, those are people who in fact spending most of their time with a cell phone in their hands. We should start in a primary school teaching how to recognize it.
What are the countries that we should learn from in terms of building societal resilience? What are the good examples?
In general, Nordic countries are definitely one of the best. They have best experience in building social resilience.
How about Ukraine? They are building it for quite some time already.
If we assume that social resilience is about ability to react to the crisis, to any kind of changes, so yes, we can learn a lot from Ukraine, but still believe we should work on our own systems.
Well, we definitely need more education and more awareness, and it's definitely not about fear. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's see how to engage with strategic communication and counter disinformation in an open society.
Disinformation often aims to provoke a reaction, fear, anger, or confusion. A cool, analytical approach, rather than an emotional one, is the best defense. Focus on verified sources and facts. Listen to official announcements from state authorities. Engage with multiple perspectives. Avoid echo chambers and games of telephone. Stay calm and question the motive behind the message.
Nowadays, we do not need weapons or boots on the ground to take over a country. Narrative is enough. So checking reliable sources for information is key. So the next time you scroll on your phone for a better grasp of some security incident, remember to keep calm and think deeply.